Alrighty guys, there's gonna be some noise from the fan heater in the background. Working on the 1998 KX125 rebuild. I don't think I revealed this project to you guys, but I was working on it behind the scenes. The engine's here, bike's over there, half a bike. Basically this engine came to me in a box, all torn apart with a broken piston. No history on it at all. Just everything was in that box right there. So everything came in that box. Most of it was bagged and labeled. There was some missing pieces. I had to go through pretty much every single shim, bolt, gear, everything, just to make sure I had everything for the engine. Ordered a few things. It was missing like the clutch plates and some of the clutch springs. It was missing, forget what else. A few other odds and ends as well. So ended up getting the crank rebuilt with a new rod. I think it was a Numera kit, something inexpensive, nothing too crazy. Got that done, and then obviously did a full bottom up rebuild, new gaskets, new seals everywhere. New clutch, new top end. The cylinder, we just honed it out and measured the clearances. They looked pretty good. Ring end gap was still good. Went through the entire carb. It's one of those goofy PowerJet TMXs or Kean PWKs or something like that. I gotta go back through that again to change out the mid-body gasket. I didn't do that while I was in there, and I feel like I'm gonna run into problems. So that is what we're up to today. I got the cylinder torqued down. Looks pretty good actually. Just a standard bore, Numera piston in it. Relatively inexpensive, but everything else seems to be good. I got everything cleaned up. The cases, I was gonna bead blast all these, but I just didn't have the time, and I don't have one here at where I'm working on the bike, so that's kind of as good as it's going to be. It looked a lot worse than this when I got it, all full of sand and mud and dirt. So I got I probably spent 10 to 15 hours cleaning and prepping, getting everything ready to assemble, and then obviously the rebuild process and all that. And then I had to get a CDI box for it. I was missing the CDI box. You can see the wiring is kind of cut, but I did get a used CDI box off eBay. So I should have everything here to make it run. And then I'm just finishing up with the swing arm rebuild right now, and then painting the frame and touching up the paint. And there's still a little bit of prep work to do on the exhaust yet, stuff like that. So I will leave the camera rolling as we kind of put this head gasket on. On these head gaskets, this particular one has a metal head gasket. There's a raised section, like a little bump in the center, and you can see on the bottom it's actually dipped. I always put the bumps facing upward, and the gasket, like I said, will only fit one way on this with these little dowels they got. So what I'm probably going to do is take this head itself. Here's the cylinder head. You can see it's a little bit beat up, not crazy. I went and pulled the little pegs out and I lapped it on some sandpaper, so I got that all cleaned up good. Not too scuzzy anymore. Wire wheeled the coolant spigot. So what I'll probably do is put the head gasket on the head first. So then I'll have the dish portion is facing down then. So that's how it'll look. But the head's a little bit beat up, nothing I don't think that's too drastic, nothing that chips off. So fairly clean there. I went ahead and scrubbed it in part solvent, and like I said, took some sandpaper and lapped it on a flat piece just to get the imperfections out. And then put this on there. And there she sits. It should be good. Nice Nice. And I got the little acorn nuts here for the top. Probably gonna put just a drop of blue Loctite on them. See how that goes. So we got just a little bit of Loctite on those. And then we'll torque this down to 18 foot-pounds. I was gonna check the service manual, but that's what I usually do for all these M8x125s. 18 is usually a safe bet. And these should be 12s. 12 or 13. Yeah, 12. And we'll do it in a crisscross pattern, of course. Looking at the alignment of everything here. Cranking it over a little bit. Just going to loosen these back up real quick and see if there's any play in the stud pattern at all. No, there's not really any play. Those dowels must lock it in pretty good. Sometimes you can kind of wind it up a little bit so it doesn't have wobble one way or the other. So we'll just hit them at 18. Go, obviously, gradually into it. I'm not doing full torque right off the bat. I'm just gonna crush that gasket in. Crisscrossing it, gradually pulling up to torque here. Yeah, try to bear hug the engine and do this one-handed. These engines like to slide around a lot. Let's go around and double check them. We do the same torque for the cylinder base nuts, all of which except for the inside the power valve cover here. Went with a wrench as tight as I could get it. Pretty close to 18 foot-pounds there. So we got everything torqued, rotates over freely. Seems to have good compression for being a brand new fresh build. So that's about it. I gotta find out what goes. I'll get you guys down here a little bit. Kind of what goes on through that hole to hold the power valve rod on. I don't know if it's a cotter pin or if it's a special little key looking thing. So I'm gonna look up on the parts diagram what that looks like. If it's just a cotter pin, I'll go get one. And then hopefully this isn't a imperfection or pinhole. I have to put something on that if it spurts coolant everywhere. You never know what this is. A build for a buddy, and it's not mine. He was just looking, nobody else wanted to touch it. No other shop would fix it because it was taken apart. So I figured I had nothing to lose. It was already apart and just took my time at it, and hopefully it runs here in the end. So apparently this little clip is like a little, I don't know what you call them, a cotter key. I don't have anything like it in a normal cotter pin, just a straight thing where you can bend the ears over. I have nothing that's that small. I mean, that is very, very tiny. So I'll try to do some eBay hunting if I can find an OEM clip. Otherwise I'll have to come up with an idea of how to get something on there. So for now I'll have to leave that just as is and move on to something else. We'll look at taking the air box off, I think, and start painting the subframe portion. And we'll put the motor aside for now because it's almost done. You know, it's just a few little things here and there. I will try to find that little clip, and then we can put that in and then put the gasket and the power valve cover on, and that'll be gold. Work on the subframe and get the airbox removed. Like half of this hardware though is just, oof, bad news bears, I'll tell you. Slide this off of there. Yep, like that. But I can tell you right now that some of this hardware is not in good shape. Like there's a lot of mismatched stuff here. That's just the way it goes, I guess. Some bolts. These look like, okay, so these have through bolts. Just rusty as heck too. Just looks awful. Really should have just got a hardware kit for this bike, because it's sat for so long. And like these bolts just look really bad. Like, yeah, not good. It's just because I'm doing all of this work to it. It's a shame that it's you know, the bolts would look that bad. And that one's like kind of cross-threaded. Looks a lot longer than the rest, which is weird, but might have to do some parts diagram looking and seeing actually what style of bolts go where. But like some of these, the washers are way bigger than what I would think is supposed to be in there. There's our little subframe piece. Now I'm basically going to take some brake cleaner and wipe down the whole thing, get all the dirt and just kind of grime off it, make sure it's dry and clean. And then I'll take, I got some of this stuff here, this PJ1 factory green from 98 to 2002. And that's what I did for the lower frame that I did so far. So we'll just have to paint match that. So we'll paint that up, and then I got to go through the airbox, you know, and just scrub that up real nice. And then probably needs to get a clamp for the boot, the air cleaner boot. I do have a new air filter for it. I'm wondering if there's any like cover for the airbox that I'm missing yet. I have to look into that. But I'll show you guys the frame here real quick so you can see. Obviously we're at my work at my dealership here, so there's blowers and mowers in the background, but here's what we're working with in terms of the bike itself. Rear tires and front tires both need tubes. You can see the swing arms off. I did go through the link, like the lowering link, or I guess the shock mount and swing arm mount, went through there, re-greased all the needle bearings, took that all apart. I just got to do the swing arms. I put new rear wheel bearings in and seals. And like I said, this frame did not look that good. You know, it looked really, really bad. So I painted all that. The front fender's a little faded yet, so I don't know what I want to do there. But front master cylinder is getting replaced. The cables are getting replaced. I got to find a coolant hose yet, I think, for the right side. I might have to buy that. I don't know if we can form a hose that will make that bend without kinking. And then I just got to go through and see where the wiring all lays out and set the motor in. And then also have to make a motor mount for the upper right side. You can see down in there, there's one broken off. I bought some on eBay, of course, the wrong ones. So, yeah, I'll get at this, prep this for paint that up real quick, get some cardboard down. Oh, that banjo bolt. It's factory sealed. Tight. Okay, that'll work. new one should have new bolts. I cracked that line so it'd be easier when it's off. I don't have to hurt myself too bad. Put all that back in here real quick. So we got that mounted on there just temporarily for now. Got that boot slid over there. We'll have to bleed the brakes, put new fluid, flush everything out. Show you guys the rest of it. Here is the bike, you know, the frame portion of it. Everything's, you know, touched up, painted that way. Got this all back on there for the shock mount and the swing arm. Greased up and everything there. Looks like we're missing a couple bolts for where the subframe mounts, unless it's, no, they're in here, it looks like. Yeah. So I'll have to put a little bit of lubricant on those to get those back and forth and work them in there. Possibly have to run a tap through all the holes. I just got to find out where the CDI box mounts, if it's up in here, or where that is. I'll look at the service manual to kind of see the layout of the electronics. Most of the bolts for the gas tank are still in the unit from the previous person taking it apart, which is nice. And you guys can see the swing arm over there. Got that stripped down. The chain guides should probably get replaced as well. I might have to try to find a set of those. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little update on the build. Like I said, it was a straight basket case, so it came in a box, and this is what we're working with now. We got a bike frame that's getting prepped up. I'm gonna have to paint those foot pegs yet, and then we have an engine that's together that we hope will function. Everything seemed to be in okay shape. Besides, it had a broken piston skirt when I got it, so I don't know why that occurred, but everything's fresh. We shouldn't have any air leaks, and I just got to go through the carb one more time and finalize that and get some extra jets.